I want to jump right in, and I want to invite you to really think about the first emotion that met you this morning. And it might, if you can't remember it, that's okay. I want you to think about where you are right now. So I'm going to give you a second to take a breath and just really bring that emotion into your being. So it could be joy. I woke up this morning and I was filled with joy. It could be I jumped out of bed with overwhelm of all the things I need to do. Just grab one of those emotions. And I would ask you not to label it. It doesn't matter if it's a negative or positive, because we're the ones, or society labels our emotions. And what I want you to do with the emotion is I want you to think about how it has taken you through the beginning of your day. So is your heart, and I want you to think about it in terms of your body. So is your body perfect? So Jamie's saying the word came to me. So I hope everyone has a word. First thing actually I want you to do is locate that emotion in your body. And it may not be, you may not be in tune with it just yet. By the end of the session, I'm going to hopefully give you the pathway to understand it more. So see if you can notice it in your body. It could be a little zing in your heart. It could be a tickle on your leg. It could be in your throat. I work with a lot of people who have anxiety or used to have anxiety, and it'll show up in the chest area, in your throat. And I just want you to notice it. Breathe as you notice it, especially if it's in your throat. And I want you to just, with yourself, notice how it has allowed you to access your day. So has it allowed you to be really open with your day, where it's like, okay, I'm in the moment, I'm feeling through my day, or has it allowed you to restrict your day? Perfect. So solar plexus, nice. So really noticing. So I want you to remember that the body keeps the score. And it doesn't matter if this is an emotion that you had when you were young, or if it's one that you've learned as a conditioning through your life. When we keep our emotions within us, what we're doing is putting it into various places in our body that show up in different ways. So it can show up in anxiety, it can show up with a lower back pain, it can show up with my feet hurt, or my throat's really scratchy, can't really talk. I have a client who it shows up in her ears. So her ears, if she gets into a situation where she feels uncomfortable, she notices her ears start to ring and she cannot hear. And she teaches. So imagine you're in a room and you get spooked, because her emotion is absolute fear. And then her ears kick in and it's like, oh, I'm shutting down. So when you notice the emotion, when you notice when it's in your, where it is in your body, all I want you to do is acknowledge it. We have been taught, sometimes when we're little, you don't cry. So you just hurt yourself. Ooh, you're a big boy, you're a big girl. You don't, just keep it in, keep going. Or I don't feel good. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong. You just keep going. And so if you've had that experience, for me to even ask you to tune into your emotion might be a difficult experience. And so I just invite you to notice what you notice and not to judge yourself. So I use a tool that's called ARF. And so we just went through the first ARF, the first A, which is real awareness in your body. And then acknowledging it. So when I say acknowledge, I mean really noticing that it's a part of you. More times than none, what we do, what we've been taught to do, is to either gulp the emotion back in. So we don't acknowledge it. We go, oh, gulp it in. You don't cry. Be a big girl right now. Be a big guy. or we have been taught to change it. So, are you upset? Oh, no, I'm fine, keep going. But really, you're upset, you're sad, but you're not allowed. You've been taught to kind of suck it in. And so what you're doing is, or you're pretending, or you shift it. So I'm actually really sad or I'm really angry, but ooh, I'm going to show up differently. And so we start to teach ourselves to disassociate with our emotion. So the emotions that's outside of us. And what happens when something's outside of us? We don't really have true access to it. It's outside of us. So whatever happens with it, so someone bumps into you, you're on a bus or a train, someone bumps in, you can't process it inside. So immediately you may lash out, or you may think, I'm going to push you back because the emotion's not yours. So, or it's trapped inside of you. And it's like, I feel something in me, but I really don't know what it is. So I want you to think about when you acknowledge, when you own that I have this emotion, I want you to notice what happens with your body. Really notice it. I know for me, I walked around with anger was my real only emotion. And I didn't even realize it until a friend said, you're such a neat person. I really like, you're adventurous. I love hanging out with you, but boy, oh boy, are you angry. And I remember going home and thinking, what? And realizing, and that was really the beginning of me getting in touch with my emotion and realizing, yep, it's in me, it's in here, it's in my gut. And I realized I actually suck it in. I suck it in so much that I was getting sick from sucking anger in. And our body keeps the score. We're energy. So there's only so much sucking in that you can do. At some point, it's going to unleash, and because it's outside of you, you're not embracing it, then it just has its own personality. So the other thing I want you to acknowledge before we move forward with the other A and the ARF model is I want you to notice, how does your emotion show up? Is it a statement? Is it, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't believe I'm on my own doing all of this. And then bang, emotion kicks in. Is it a visual clue? Is it, it's really hot out there. Oh, I remember being little and hot and what that meant. Immediately. Now you're not even conscious. You're brought back into that unconscious way of dealing with your emotion. Is it a smell? Is it a word? So these are all clues that I invite you to notice, even if you can't notice them right now, because I'm sort of saying, get in there, get into your emotion. And for many of us, that's not comfortable, especially if we're accustomed to saying, you're outside of me or you're stuck deep within, never to come out. So I want you to notice you. Your emotion is actually your gift. And I'm going to tell you more about that after. So acceptance. So you have awareness, you've acknowledged it. Acceptance is like when that friend said, boy, are you angry? Or when I get a client who says, I'm actually pissed because I realize I'm so angry. I clap. I celebrate when a client does that, because what I realize is it's a part of you. Acceptance means you embrace it, means you're not shoving it off. Acceptance is like choice. I'm choosing to sit with you even though I don't really know you. So acceptance is when you allow yourself. So if you're in an emotion right now, and I think Jamie said, and it's in my solar plexus, you can even put your hand where you feel it or put it on your chest, wherever you feel it. And it's about being able to say, I embrace you, even if you feel uncomfortable. And this is the key here, the wisdom in this is when we can sit with that uncomfortable feeling and we can breathe, and I'm going to teach you that. before we close, what you're beginning to do is embrace a part of you that has been sitting outside or is so deeply buried that you don't have access. It's actually running you. It comes out when it wants to. You don't actually have that divine access to choose when I use you and when I don't. So if you have an emotion right now, I invite you to embrace it, to really say, okay, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you've shown up today. I want you to think of a couple things. One is, if you have the emotion of fear, when you suppress that, you're suppressing that innate knowledge that's saying, trying to keep you safe or asking you to be aware. What's out of sync in my environment? Or what's going on that I need to pay attention to? Let's say anger. Can you tell, one of my favorites? And I tend to attract clients who are angry or anxious, unfortunately, but true, is when you're angry, there's frustration hanging out there. There's a bit of fear, there's anxiety. But what anger is, it really is telling you something needs to change. You're kind of living in a way that is not fulfilling for you. So anger isn't like, oh, this is bad. And anger is about, I'm putting up, I'm putting up. I'm allowing, but it's not about me. I'm not living for me or through me. So I want you to understand that the more that you can sit with the emotion, there's always another side to it. And I hope this makes sense. So if we were to just allow whatever you're feeling, and it could be joy, by the way, if you were to just sit with your emotion and breathe through it, and we're going to do a couple of exercises in a minute, what you get at the end is you start, and the more that you do it, comes with practice, is you start to notice, before you became fear, you were something else. You might have been curiosity. And if you got shut down, now I'm fearful. I'm not going to share. So the more you sit with what presents, that energy of the emotion that comes up, and you really localize it in your body, and you can really get into it, which I'll share how you do that, the greater access you have to the other side of that emotion, which is usually something that is your true gift, something that you can use in your life. It actually is a part of you that opens up. It allows your heart to open up even more. So let's do a couple of exercises. So the first one is a mindful visualization. And so you can work with the same emotion you've accessed, or you can try another one. So I invite you all to go on a little walk. We're in a forest. It's safe. Sun is shining. Birds are all around. Hopefully you're not afraid of them. It's a really clear path. And you're going to come to an opening. And there's a circle. And there's space for everyone. And you can choose where you want to sit. And there are two things. There's either a nice peaceful bonfire, or there's a body of water, a water fountain. So you're going to get to choose how you release this emotion and really learn to embrace it. And what I ask you to do is to invite your younger self to sit with you, and to really share with your younger self that you're going to embrace that emotion that maybe as a young child you were told you don't have access, you don't use it. And I want you to decide either to use the body of water or the bonfire as a cleansing, as an opportunity to release and really have more access. So it's not like you're saying goodbye to it. What you're really doing is saying, I invite you, I want more of you. I want to understand what's beyond you. So I invite you to go to that bonfire, go to that body of water, and with your younger self, wherever the emotion is in your body, I want you to take that out. So if it's in your throat, for example, or in your chest, it's like taking it out and giving it to the water, giving it to the element, giving it to the fire, and allowing it to cleanse it for you. And so you can do this on your own. It's basically an exercise of giving it up and allowing it to become what it really needs or wants to be. So you're not holding on to it for dear life. And the more that you can give it, it almost becomes a game. So you want to understand, where is it in my body? And I work with clients in our 7 main chakras, but also I'm working a lot with the ears and the eyes lately with new clients who present with emotions in their ears or in their eyes. And so I want you to just freely give it. Have your younger self do that too. Mirror your behavior. So what you're really doing is saying, I don't need to hang on to you. I can set you free. And in setting you free, I have greater access to you to use in a way that fulfills me in my life, that allows me to be more open in my life. And when you're done, and you start to know you're done because your body starts tingling or you feel lighter, I just invite you to take a breath. Once you're done, sort of giving it over, releasing it. And then I invite you to sit with your younger self again in that circle. And for you to look at that little person and just say, I acknowledge the journey we've been on. I forgive. In other words, I'm forgiving our way forward. I'm forging forward. We've had the experience of hanging on to our emotions, and now we know that we can set them free. So we can see the wisdom in them. We can see what's beneath them, what's behind them. We can have more access. We can use that to live a richer life, to access more of our being through our heart. And I just want you to thank your younger self. And then to thank the circle, thank the water, thank the elements, thank the water, thank the bonfire, thank yourself, and just come back into the space, into the session. And you may want to take a cleansing breath and just notice how you feel. Notice where your emotion that you usually keep inside of you or you leave outside because you don't want to have it, you don't want to touch it. Notice where it is in your body. Notice how your body feels now. Notice the energy in your body. And if this is your first time doing this, this could lead to you feeling tired. It could lead to you feeling sad. Again, acknowledge it. Really just own it, knowing that it is a part of you. And if we still have time, I want to share one more with you that's simple that you can do even if you're in line. I did it recently. I was traveling for work and I used to suffer a lot from anxiety, and I'm in service of clients who present with that. And, I've learned that my anxiety is really me wanting to be grounded, wanting to be in my power, wanting to show up and not hide. And I remember, I was in line going through security, and I thought I could feel it coming in. I could feel it coming into me. And my old self would want to bolt. And I thought, I can't. I'm almost going to go be ushered through security. This is not the time to bolt. And so I took a breath and I really grounded myself, which we're going to do in a minute. And I just started really breathing into the space in my chest. And by the time I was called to go up, it might have been 2 minutes after, the thought of even being in that state was gone. I was then in the state of, let's go through security. I'm really excited to get to my destination. I'm looking forward to this flight. I actually forgot that I was in that state. So I'm sharing that with you because I want you to understand it is possible. It is possible to embrace our emotions, to release them, to allow them, to have the wisdom of them. So let's do one more. I want you to breathe, take a nice deep breath in and do it from your crown. So breathe in. And as you release that breath, really notice it going through your entire body and release down to the core of the earth. And then I want you to take another breath from above and just land in your heart and sort of open the doorway to your heart. And I want you to notice the old space that your emotion, the main emotion that you worked with today, wherever it is, I invite you now to breathe through your heart space. So visualize taking a breath in, and I want you to share it as you release. So if it's in your gut, share that breath with your gut. What you're doing is when you bring it into your heart, you neutralize. You bring it, you surround it with love. So breathing into the heart, if it's up in your chest, visualize, I bring it into my chest and I release. And you would do that for about 3 minutes. Breathe into your heart, bring it into that area where the emotion usually sits, and just release. And notice how your body feels. So that's a quick one that you can do anywhere that people won't necessarily notice. Or you can say, I'm feeling anxious and I'm going to just breathe. I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to allow this to happen for me. And what you'll notice over time is the more you practice this, the more you're opening up your energy centers. But what you're really doing is you're sitting in the moment of your heart. You're allowing your heart to start to guide you. You're allowing your crown, your third eye, the more you practice, you're opening up different energy centers and you're neutralizing that emotion that either you used to suppress or it would take you down or you'd act out. What you're doing is you're saying, you're a part of me. And so you start to understand the gift in it, the gift in it. So I invite you to practice. You can practice daily. You can practice even with an emotion. I love doing it with an emotion like joy or I'm really happy. Because imagine you processing that through your heart and allowing it to go through your entire body. When you walk into the world, you are sharing that. So imagine what comes in for you. So I want to thank you for being here. And if you have any questions at all, you can reach out to me. My email is Donna@DonnaHallCoach, all one word, .com. It's been an absolute pleasure.